Okay, here's the approach to the house up the driveway. There is the dog kennel, or one of the many dog kennels on the property, including this space. This is a reverse angle from the front door. Here is the front door. The stairs are absolutely a wreck and need to be replaced. Going in the front door into the room I will, for lack of a better term, call the living room. Big fireplace. Flue is clear. Chimney was rebuilt when the roof was rebuilt. After the roof was rebuilt, this room was plastered. So all that plaster would need to come off and hopefully expose those beams. Nice window. Here's the view. That's the living room. Directly off the living room here is what I'll call the guest room. I have to climb up there because there are no stairs. So this is the guest room. A little bit of a closet there, a bookcase sort of built into the wall. Decent sized window. View back down towards the doghouse and an area over here that I'll call an orchard, which I'll show shortly. Decent sized room, but the real feature in here, these beautiful beams. All the rocks that are on the floor are a product of the roof being redone. Back into the living room. There are two doors on the side of the living room, and they go into this room, which I will just call Kitchen 1. Beautiful stone walls that they were going to cover up with plaster. And beautiful beams in tremendously good shape. Behind this wall, there is another 2 rooms, which I will subsequently call Kitchen 2 and Kitchen 3. And here there are 2 windows. One looks out on what again I'll call the orchard, and this tree which has been absolutely enveloped by this invasive vine. And out this window, I've got these lovely views of the hills, and beyond that house there, an old castle. Back outside again. The house was originally built, those 3 rooms and the cellars underneath it, that was what I'll just call house 1. Then house 2 was added onto it with absolutely no communication between the 2 and no sort of regard for the floor plan of house 1 versus house 2. In fact, you can see here on the wall, this line is indicative of where house 1 stopped and where house 2 started. House 2, that's the house 1 kitchen window. House 2 has 2 other windows here, which are a part of what I'm calling Kitchen 2 and Kitchen 3. Below there is a cellar. I'll go into all of the cellars shortly. So this is Kitchen 2. Behind this wall, in fact there's a hole in the wall that goes through, and that wall is load bearing. Now a door can be knocked into it, but it can't be opened up entirely like with a big arch or something like that without it being a pretty significant project. Looks like there was another floor up there, but beyond that you can see the beams and the ceiling. The ceiling here is very tall. If it's just left as an open space instead of putting new flooring and or ceiling there. But this is kitchen 2. There's also in this corner a door through to kitchen 3, and this wall here is maybe 2 inches thick. It's one layer of brick thick. In fact, there at the bottom of the doorway in the corner, I kicked out a couple of bricks quite easily, so that wall can be removed and is not weight bearing. So out from that door, around the corner to the backyard. There's the views from this side. There's a bunch of trees on the edge of the backyard here, which I'm conflicted on whether or not they would provide nice shade in the summer from the setting sun, or whether or not they block the view and need to go, or at least get trimmed back pretty substantially. But here is the profile of the house from the back. I think it's got pretty lines, and I think with a facelift it would look really beautiful. Through this door here is what I'm calling kitchen 3. So kitchen 3 would communicate with the backyard. Again, high ceilings, but there was another level up here. In fact, in the corner there's a ladder. This is the wall. There's the door through to kitchen 2. That wall can be completely removed, and this would be a very large space, especially if it was left open all the way to the beams. There is almost no floor in here. There is, however, a dead fox. There's a little bit of a floor over there. There was a fireplace here on the wall. Looks like there was another fireplace here, which I think probably shared a chimney with a fireplace on the other side of the wall in what I will call the master suite. But this would be the exit from the kitchen directly to the backyard and an outdoor kitchen. Another shot of the backyard from the exit of the kitchen 3 doorway. The house is covered with these vines, but they will come off, at least the smaller ones will come off fairly easily. And of course this plaster here would need to be removed to expose the stones. But you can see some of this stuff is pretty stout. But underneath that plaster are these beautiful stones. Again, some of it is going to be a challenge to remove, but underneath there I think there's something quite pretty. Hi puppies. Hi puppies. Come here. Come here. Come here. Hi. Hi. Yeah. You're lovely. You're obnoxious. And that one over there recently got in a fight, is a little bit bloodied up, and is scared of me. These are some more of the views from just beyond that stand of trees. It's the house. That there is the door from kitchen 3. This is the door to what I'll call the master suite, and this would represent house 3. Again, no doors or any way to pass through from house 1 or house 2 to this property. So the master suite as I'm calling it. Section of the house I really like. It has lovely beams, good ceiling, good tiles underneath it. The walls are pretty horrible and plastered. And of course that would all need to be removed, but this plaster comes off really quite easily. So that wouldn't be a terrible job to remove. The bigger job would be removing the mortar and grout and repointing. In this room there's that fireplace, which I believe probably connected, at least chimney wise, to the fireplace in kitchen 3. There's a little alcove there in the corner. Window looks out in the backyard. Can't not see through it because of the growth of the vines. Door. So this house 3 has effectively 3 rooms as well. So 3 rooms in house 1, 2 rooms in house 2, and 3 rooms in house 3. Off of this master suite living area, down a step is a room that I think has potential for multiple uses. The beams in here are not great. I need a professional opinion on them. I've tested them a little bit. They seem to be strong. The tiling underneath could use some replacement work, but not significant. Plaster would need to go. There are 2 windows. Those 2 windows currently abut the ruined house, which I'll show you shortly. This room, I think, has a couple of potential uses. Number 1, it could be a bedroom. Just hit my head. Or alternatively, this section here could maybe be used as a closet, and that section over there could be used as a bathroom. So you'd have a bathroom in this master suite of 3 rooms. Up these stairs, which are very steep and would need to be modified, which would not be a terribly big job. There's this room. You see there are some old beams up here, which again I need a professional opinion on. There are some leaks in the roof here, so there needs to be some repairs. 2 windows exactly in the same position as the room downstairs, which look at the ruined house. But this is a really lovely space, and this could be used for a few things. On the one hand, I think it could possibly be a bedroom. On the other hand, I think it could be an office or project space, place just to come and think and do stuff. And there's the horrible staircase. So that's the entirety of the living floor, or the 3 separate living floors of the house. Below all of that are all of the cellars and stables. I'll take you down there shortly. This here, underneath all of those vines, is a ruin of a house. The ruin is behind all those vines, and of course this kennel. Hi, babies. The ruin is uninhabitable and unrepairable, so this would have to come down. Best way to look at it is there are effectively 2 benefits of it. The first is all of this material can be reused. Well, not all of it. Perhaps not that beam, but all of the stone in here can be reused. Secondly, whatever the square footage of this property was on all its levels, that is what you would qualify for in terms of rebuilding something else. In other words, if this was 120 square meters or something along those lines, then it would allow you to build without any hassles whatsoever from the local municipality to build to that same square footage. So before going down into the cellars, I'll just walk the outside of the property immediately surrounding the house first. There's this area with, of course, more kennels and more dogs. There's 25 of them here now. I think he's had up to 40 here at some point. But this is more of the ruin, which comes to within, I don't know, about 8 feet or so of the main house. Down the driveway, just a little bit, there are a couple of pieces of land here that are quite interesting. There's a really nice stand of bamboos there too, which I really like. This is full of fruit trees. I think these here are all cherry trees, if I understood the owner correctly. There's also a nice piece of land down here, beyond all the brambles. There's a ton of these all over the place. I think a bunch of them are berries, blackberries or raspberries or something like that. But boy, do they need to be cleaned out and rehabilitated or removed. But there's a really nice piece of land there. Of course, there's the hillside, which all dumps down into here, which is a great watershed. And that would be a perfect place for something like a duck pond. There are more stables back there, or more stables, more dog pens back there. So, on the other side of this kennel, and just opposite the house, there's this section down here, which I'm calling the orchard. On this side, now we are just below the driveway over there. The stand of bamboos, the structure that is the kennel, and over here, I don't know what kind of tree this is, but it has got blossoms all over it. Back here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kennels full of dogs. It's all fenced in and could be quite useful for pigs or something like that. Hi, baby. Hi. Around the other side of this towards the orchard. Now the owner is questionably believable, says that these trees are all quite productive. Here's a couple of olive trees, which sadly are being smothered by these vines, but I think there's a possibility they can be saved. Down here is, again, what I'm calling the orchard. I'm told that these trees right here are quite productive for truffles. This tree here is a plum, which shockingly enough, given the frosts and everything else that we've had, are actually starting just now to bloom. Fig trees. What else? He told me 3 or 4 other kinds of fruits out here on this area, which is just below the house. This is a nice wide open space here. I think it has lots of potential uses. See the side of the house, looking out that way. Okay, the cellars and stables. I'm going to go through these in the same order that I went through the living floor of the house. This one has a nice wide door. It is, of course, more kennels. My goodness. Hi. One window in addition to the door. Good space. The beams in here are iron. I'm standing below the guest bedroom because I still don't have perfect names for what I would do with these spaces. We'll just use those for now. Front door. 1, 2, 3 windows and a door to this next cellar / stable area. It is all dog kennels in here, but the beams are excellent. This is under kitchen 1. This is under the living room. Nice big space, good size opening here. The only problem with this space, by the way, the beams are also really great here, so the flooring underneath the living room would be very stable. The only problem with this space here is that the floor, which is dirt and stone, needs to be dug down, and according to the geometry I can probably dig down a good 30 centimeters before I get in danger of getting anywhere near the bottom of the foundation. So I can improve the head space in here. This is the top of my head here. I'm barely under this beam. But if I dig down 30 centimeters here, I'll have an extra almost foot of head space. You can see where it's copper eaves. But more importantly, underneath the eaves, you can see where all this brickwork has been done when the roof was replaced. And that's all very solid and in really good shape. So that's kind of something unusual in these old properties. So window to kitchen 1, window to kitchen 2, window to kitchen 3. And this is underneath kitchen 2. This one has very low headspace, maybe 4.5 feet. Beautiful stone walls. And well, again, I could dig this down a little bit. I couldn't make it a livable area. It's hard to stand in, but that'd be a really nice space to use as storage, firewood or whatever else. Around the corner here into the backyard. Hi, pups. This doorway is a very tiny little doorway, which I have to basically sit on the ground to get into. This is underneath kitchen 3, so you got a little bit of the flooring here. About 2/3 of the floor is gone, and of course there's a dead fox in the corner. In theory, this would make one dugout and give a little more headroom. Certainly not something you're going to stand up in, but that would be a good space to be used as a technical room. Something that you put the water heater, water pump, electricity would come into there. The consumer electric panel, breakers, etc. would live in that space. This is a good example of what happens when the plaster comes off. You got these beautiful rocks, and then that ugly plaster. And we're back at the front door. That was the first cellar that I showed you. This is the ruin, and up the side of the house are the cellars underneath the master suite. Well, in here, there actually is power. You have more kennels. Headspace is the same in here as it was in the larger cellars underneath house 1. This space is pretty dark. This wall right here is removable and non-load bearing, so this whole space could be opened up. Stone walls have been painted, not plastered. Beams in here are not new, but still very good. There is a hole in the floor of the master suite living area, which I am now under, but that is just some broken bricks that would lay over those cross beams and is very easy to repair in a matter of 10 minutes. So again, pretty big amount of usable space down here. I think most of the living would be done in this backyard, and that's partly because of these views, especially when those trees are cut back or are removed, because I think the house has some really nice lines and would be very pretty when those vines are taken off, the plaster is taken off, and the stones are repointed. The ruin can be moved elsewhere on the property, so it does not need to be right here, which would improve views from both the lower room in the master suite, as well as the view out of the tower windows. The property is completely surrounded on what I'll call the backside by these hills. So it's very quiet out here when the dogs aren't barking. One more look at the backyard. I think these trees have to go, but that would improve the views from the kitchen windows. On the property, this is sort of where the orchard bends around the house. Then once you get past these brambles here, it starts to drop off moderately. Well down there, there's a pretty steep ravine, but I do think there is an option to extend the backyard, put a retaining wall in, maybe get another 10 feet of diameter around this edge of the yard, add another 10 feet all the way around, and it's pretty meaningful. The sun in the winter sets there, Sun in the summer sets there. So again, if these trees are cleaned up, or some of them removed, then I think you're going to get all of the summer sun in the afternoon hitting the back of the house. I think it would be simply gorgeous.